My name is Alex McKelvie. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergraduate and Master's Education here at the Whitman School of Management at Syracuse University. I'm also a professor of entrepreneurship. So before my job as Associate Dean, I was Department Chair for the Department of Entrepreneurship and Emerging Enterprises. And starting July 1st, I will be Interim Dean of the Whitman School. There's such a great history of the Whitman School and also Syracuse University. The school is about 100 years old. We actually celebrated our centennial anniversary in 2019, and we were one of the first schools to get AACSB accreditation. The Whitman School has a tremendous history, especially in the areas of supply chain and entrepreneurship, where we're consistently ranked among world leaders. And then also Martin J. Whitman, the namesake of the school, was a successful investor in Wall Street, and so we have really strong programs in the functional areas such as finance and investing. The Syracuse University is very well known, especially in the Northeast, for its Newhouse School, its Maxwell School of Citizenship, as well as the Whitman School and other programs. Located in Syracuse, New York, which is upstate New York. It's about 100 miles, 160 kilometers from the border with Canada. We're known for having very clear four seasons, having amazing winters, and really, super high quality education and a tremendous learning experience for students. The MBA program was launched in 1948, and with a history like that, the program has certainly gone through a number of reinventions, a number of rejuvenations, a number of kind of innovations over time. A few years ago, the biggest innovation took place, which was really rejuvenating and refreshing that current MBA program. So we went through and we took a look at all the classes, we took a look at the curriculum and the structure of what was going on. And so over the last few years, we've really invested a lot of resources into attracting more students and better students in terms of academic readiness, but also importantly, a lot of the soft skills, the leadership skills that we know are so successful in business. We also started to innovate by adding on new courses, restructuring courses, building opportunities to really get a lot more experiential learning into the program itself. And then also importantly, working with our development team. By development, I mean in particular the recruiting team and the placement team to make sure that our students afterwards are getting jobs. So over time, we've done a number of things, but what's always been tried and true for our program has been this emphasis on quality, small classrooms where we have personal touches, building strong networks, connecting into our huge alumni base, and then making sure our students get a lot of really good jobs afterwards. And so with that, we've also introduced a number of innovations related to our proximity to New York City, where we now offer a couple courses that students can take in a week-long fashion. So an entire week in New York City, where the courses that you take are deliberately connecting to our strong alumni base, our corporate partners, and really offering courses that you couldn't take anywhere else but in New York City. Now we're launching other courses like that elsewhere, but our New York City, just with the proximity and the alumni base, made smart sense for that to be the starting point. The other thing that I think would be really exciting with students is a lot of the industry-ready type of focus that we're doing, where we've launched over 25 new courses over the last 5 years into areas like analytics, innovation, entrepreneurship, machine learning, accounting advisory, emerging industries such as the cannabis industry. And so with that, as elective courses, really emphasizes a lot of the flexibility and the ability to customize your own program as part of that. So right now we have 18 out of our 54 credits being elective courses. So students really have the opportunity to specialize and become experts in a particular area as part of the MBA program. So what you can really characterize our MBA program as is small, customizable, high flexibility, lots of innovation, and very much a personalized type of thing. And then with that, on the program side, we also make sure that our students are ready for that world ahead, which is a world that's very much one of accelerating change. And that means we have STEM designation, and a lot of our courses that we now offer and our concentrations will prepare students for careers in STEM, whether it's technology, analytics, innovation. And recently we even launched a new program where we train medical doctors as well. So in partnership with the SUNY Medical College, we'll have an MD MBA as well. So we'll have some future doctors in our incoming MBA class starting this year. So we have a huge alumni base, and I think the important thing is when you become a Syracuse alumnus, you're not just a Whitman alum or an MBA alum, you have that Syracuse brand to you. So the Orange network is huge. We have students who are graduating who obviously move on to become CEOs, C-suite managers and executives. We have a lot of entrepreneurs. We have people who have leadership roles in non-for-profits and socially oriented businesses, and many leaders of industry. So when you think about that entire alumni base with the small MBA program and the future trajectory of many of these individuals we bring in, it's really aiming to take over or take on significant responsibilities in big companies or starting your own company. As I mentioned before, our strong entrepreneurial spirit and a history of having a world-class entrepreneurship program really kind of creates a lot of these super strong entrepreneurs for the future, and also socially minded individuals. So currently we have individuals working at top 50 companies, and these are relatively young alums such as Amazon, Google, Meta, and among many others that are household names. So a lot of our alums who are recent grads who are looking for big company experience are able to do that. And those who are also looking to be really involved in smaller companies also have that opportunity. One of our recent alums I met with is the CEO of United Way as well. So people who are moving from industry and investments into non-for-profits is also a big part of what we prepare students for. Being part of the Whitman Alumni Network really is about opportunity, where if you graduate from Syracuse, you tend to hire other Syracuse students. You know how great they are. So we have a lot of events. Just a few weeks ago, I was in New York City with a big event to celebrate the excellence from this graduating class, but also connecting into our corporate partners. So you'll see events, activities, support mechanisms through New York, Atlanta, LA, Boston, Washington, and really building this tremendous support network of people who will help you further your career as part of formal mentorships or informal mentorships, and if nothing else, just social activities and watching basketball and football games as well. But we tend to bring alumni back to campus for a number of different events where people are so excited to be back here and seeing all the great improvements that we've made here on the beautiful campus, as well as connecting with current students. So we're very good at connecting in the alumni base to help our current students at all the different levels, including in the MBA program. And that's also true for international MBA students. As an international at a global business school, we realize that a lot of our alums move around. So we have, who move on to executive positions in China, India, Korea, different parts of Europe. So with a global brand like Syracuse, you tend to have individuals who are placed around the world. So with that, we will travel and visit them, whether they're in the Middle East, whether they're in London, whether they're in Shanghai or Seoul or wherever. You'll see as part of the Orange Network how much pride there is to be from Syracuse. You'll start to notice it on people's hoodies, on t-shirts, all over the place. What does it mean to be an Orangeman? That's a great question. I think it's a matter of sense of pride. I think when we think about Syracuse grads, you think of grit, you think of determination, you think about the high quality experience that they have, but also the hard work ethic that people need to get ahead. So when I meet with alumni, a lot of the things that I hear is Syracuse took a chance on me, or Syracuse really changed me, and Syracuse really pushed me to reach my goals. And I think a lot of that speaks to the type of student that we want, which is hardworking, engaged, showing leadership, as well as having some of the traditional academic performance metrics. But I think it's a sense of pride, excitement, the rites of passage that people have here on Syracuse. And it's hard to explain until people come here, which is, seeing the leaves change in the fall, being part of some very snowy winters, building together, whether it's a business plan or a new venture pitch, or working on rigorous analyses for company presentations, a lot of the time that people see each other, it's like, I remember that experience. That was great. That was transformational. And the tight bonds that people have with each other, just as we think about the small class size. That's a way of really getting to know your peers in such a big way. So I think of like Whitman as a small school within a big university. And so with that comes the high personalization, the in-depth knowledge that you have of each other, and really the tight bonds that people have, as well as what they've gone through here with the winters and a lot of the rituals and routines that we have. But it's just, I think it really comes down to a sense of pride and excitement for what people do here in Syracuse. So our recent climb in the rankings, it kind of suggests what we've already known, which is we're a little bit of a hidden gem. I think the investments that we've made over the past couple of years in terms of recruiting, in terms of improving the education, in terms of a lot of the innovation, and importantly, the career placement, those all kind of came together at the same time to lead to that rankings. But the jump in rankings doesn't happen by itself. And that's where I think the excitement comes from. All of the hard work of the teams involved here at the Whitman School, whether it's the faculty, the recruiting team, the placement team, really kind of culminating into that group. But it's really an area where we think we've belonged, and where we're satisfied that we're finally kind of getting the recognition of that. And what it means is that it provides some reassurance that we're on the right track, that all of the time, the effort, the support, the personalization we're putting in is beginning to pay off in one metric that matters to external constituencies, whereas a lot of the other things that we're investing in have paid off internally, where we've seen student satisfaction, we've seen great teaching evaluations from students. But it's just kind of that external validation, I think, of what we're doing, that it really matters and it pays off. And I know rankings matter for a lot of students paying attention to those types of things. I was very pleased when Syracuse was ranked as the fastest growing, the fastest rising program in the country. And I think that's deserved because of all of the innovative things that we've done that don't necessarily get captured by the rankings. And certainly rankings are only one measuring stick of that, but there's just so many interesting, fun, student-centered things happening that our students are delighted to be part of, and they're excited for the future. And so, it's very thankful, and it's a great representation of the team effort. So the biggest area where we've made improvements, and as you highlighted, there's three different areas. The one where we've really invested heavily is on placement. So over the past couple of years, we've hired a brand new placement counselor. We've hired a part-time counselor, a director of corporate relations. Now, what that means is it's bringing jobs to Syracuse students and then preparing students for those jobs. And so a lot of the effort we've had is really making sure that the employers know how great Syracuse students are. So that's where you see a lot of the biggest leap. Now, at the same time, when we've improved our product, when we've improved the types of education that we provide, whether it's the WIRE initiative, the Whitman Industry Readiness and Excellence Initiative, where we'll pay for students to complete industry recognized certifications and credentials, that's the type of thing that will pay off when a student gets a job, students get a better paying job. When we offer more rigorous classes and exposing students to tools and techniques and approaches that we know are industry ready, those are the types of things that will help pay off when students are looking for jobs. When we change our recruiting strategy to make sure that our students have the academic preparations, GPA, GMAT, GRE, but also the right soft skills, the personality, the drive, the leadership experience, then when you put them all together, that's really what's transforming this MBA program. Now, one of the interesting things is a lot of the new initiatives that we've had, whether it's a new partnership with SUNY Upstate, whether it's dual programs with other schools on campus that we're soon going to be launching, and a lot of these programmatic initiatives, those haven't necessarily taken have taken place yet to impact these rankings. So we're very excited about the future because we're doing so many new things that will really help prepare students for that world ahead. And notably from the rankings perspective, getting much better jobs. And that, I think, is the number one factor driving the rankings, and where I personally believe that our vision, our need, are the things that driving us is to help students for that future. And so making sure that they get the jobs that they deserve and with the salaries they believe they deserve is also key. So I would say that would be the number one factor that's really been behind a lot of this big jump in the rankings, and where we know what we can do even more in the future. So a lot of the investments I've touched on already. And I'd say the number one thing is obviously in our career center, where we've hired, MBA placement counselors, director of corporate relations, and bringing in and changing the philosophy of that team to really support students. We've also invested quite a bit in our recruiting side, where we brought in an executive director of recruiting and enrollment. We've also added on an assistant director to really make sure that we're preparing students and getting the right types of students. So those are huge, big investments. From the educational point of view, it's really emphasizing the things that students need to be ready for that world of accelerating change, which is making sure that our education is top-notch, whether it's using modern cases that are talking about the tools, techniques, and approaches that companies want now, whether it's expanding the opportunity set for students to have more experiential learning and applied learning as part of the program, but also offering a large number of new electives, which we know are important topics to help with students. So across the board, from recruiting, from placement, and from student experience here on campus, there's really been a huge investment across the board at all kinds of different tiers. Now, the other part is STEM designation, to make sure that our international students are able to stay even longer, and with that being very much reflective of our analytic and global and entrepreneurial approach to education, to the WIRE initiative, as I mentioned before, making sure that students are ready with industry recognized expert certifications, not kind of making our own in-house micro-credentials and badges, very much the industry focused, to a lot of these partnerships across campus. Really kind of changes the nature of education. And when you add on the New York experience, being able to take classes in New York, connecting with corporate partners there, some of these short intensive courses where we'll do 1 credit weekend courses on important topics like Tableau, like Power BI, like negotiation, that are really important skills that our students will need, but kind of taking out of the traditional 15-week semester. So there's so many different things that are taking place across the board that when you think of a business school and being competitive, it really is a matter of innovation, whether it's innovation in terms of new courses, new programs, new experiences, new ways of approaching things. Now, that next wave that we'll be looking for is much more multidisciplinary, with more and more partnerships, such as with public administration or international relations or public health, as well as making even better student experiences that are global. Now that we're kind of beyond a certain stage of the pandemic where students are feeling comfortable to travel again, we'll return to our Asia trips, to our Europe trips, to our Middle Eastern trips, to our South America trips, to really see how a lot of these business activities are taking place across the world. And that's also fundamental to our experience that we're happy is going to be starting to launch again. So we're competing across a number of different factors, and where the name of our game for us is innovation. So one last thing I haven't mentioned yet is at the end of the spring semester, the faculty at the Whitman School voted to future-proof the learning objectives and the learning goals of the program. Now, what that means is we've infused a lot of modern thinking, whether it's the soft skills necessary to be comfortable and very proficient in issues related to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, to make it much more globally focused, to ensure that there's sufficient and increased skills related to analytics, whether it's running the actual analyses, data visualization, and kind of the digital storytelling, to include much more thinking about sustainability, climate change and ESG, as well as a lot of the contemporary tools that reflect the changing way of business, whether it's digital transformation, whether it's changing nature of industries, future of work. So all of those areas are much more greater. And so this coming year, we're going to be revising the curriculum to reflect those new learning goals and objectives. So now that we've voted that through, over this next year, we'll really be taking a deeper look into a lot of these factors, curriculum, cases, all that we're doing to make sure it continues to be cutting edge to support our students. And all at the same time as managing a small program, right? We're a small program, high personalization, so we want to make sure that the students get the most out of their time with us. The future of the Whitman School of Management is tremendously bright. We're on an amazing trajectory where we've had record rankings or generational rankings in our MBA and our undergraduate program, where we've launched a great number of initiatives to support students through development of their soft skills, their personal, their professional skills, while also improving their hard skills, their analytic skills, and their certifications to demonstrate to industry that they know what they're talking about. It's also much more multidisciplinary as we continue to work with public health, communications, public administration, international relations, medical, College of Law, working with our technology and our information, our analytics school, and across the board to really prepare students for what's ahead. So in the near term, you can expect much more of the same, where over the next little bit, we're going to continue to refine our curriculum. We're going to continue to refine the opportunities to support students. We're going to continue to develop and implement even stronger corporate relations. And then importantly, working hand in hand with students to make sure that they get the jobs of their dreams and that they're delighted with their experience at the Whitman School. So this next little bit is really ramping up what we've already been successful with over the past couple of years, which is working well with others, supporting students, being there for each other, and really making sure that the students are prepared for the jobs that await them upon graduation.